Welcome to our series At the Corner. Today, we're at the corner of
Front and John Street in downtown Toronto.
And what's today's topic, Naumaan?
Well, for those of you who've been watching the local media, you would have seen that there's a lot of discussion about has immigration gone too far in the context of housing?
Well, I think that begs the larger question, have the doors open too wide and too uncontrolled?
You know, and so let's have a little discussion because we talked about that. From my perspective, you've got two issues. You've got housing, which has always been an issue for all Canadians, and you've got a massive labor shortage and you have the need for talent. Personally, I think we have to find a solution for housing, and I don't believe the immigration piece is directly the cause of it. It's going to exacerbate it, but I think we need to find a balance.
Well, I think the balance means there has to be a midpoint. You've got to take in these immigrants and these workers to keep our economy going. But do you open up the doors wildly and without any controls or restrictions? And for that matter, probably what's missing is some kind of follow-up. We just approved 10,000 work permits for H-1Bs. We don't have any clue as to what occupations they're going to be in. We don't know where they're going to live. What if they're all coming to Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver? Is there a place for them? There should be some sort of a measured approach, possibly 2,500 come in at once, and then there's some follow-up in a couple of months, and then you really don't have to worry that these H-1Bs won't be coming to Canada because most of them are on timelines of getting a green card in the United States in at least 10 years, so they're not going anywhere. In other words, Canada is there for them. Maybe we should be a little bit more thoughtful on how we take them.
Well, you know, so that's an interesting point. Should there be an incentivization for immigrants who may be coming that will work in rural areas where the housing issue is not actually competitive, but there's a need for people, and some of their economic stimulation may in fact increase the likelihood of more established infrastructure in those areas. Even, you know, you raise an interesting point on the H-1B cap. In retrospect, instead of letting in 10,000, would it have made more sense maybe to start with 2,000 in the most in-demand dock, like data scientists, and then sort of see what is the impact instead of just opening up the gate to a whole H-1B category? I think those are interesting and valid points.
So our doors should definitely be open, but they should be measured in how they're opened. And we should be able to have some predictive results as to what the immigration process is actually achieving, because the integrity of the system is critical to its future, and Canadians are buying into it now, but will they buy into it where they have more pressures in cities, housing pressures, and where there's probably occupations that are being filled, which may not be as in demand as other occupations? It has to be more targeted.
I agree, but I think there's another balance too. You know, you often creep into like xenophobic issues too whenever you got massive movements of immigration. And we know that these skills are highly in demand, that employers that we talk to are in desperate need. And I think housing has to become more innovative. I mean, interestingly, ex-Minister of Immigration Sean Fraser is leading that portfolio right now. But the idea of maybe loosening up licensing and zoning requirements, incentivizing low housing communities in larger scale, that's part of the solution here too. I don't think it's an all or nothing view of immigration and housing being tied together.
Okay, so it's At the Corner with Howard Greenberg and Naumaan Hameed.
Have a good day.